Welcome to AI Daily Deep Dive. You won't believe this, but today's episode is completely AI researched and generated.
Really?
Yeah. So get ready to dive into the most intriguing AI news from February 9th, 2025. We've got potential AI coups, sustainability concerns, even some AI blunders. This deep dive has it all.
It really is a mixed bag today. I think what's fascinating is how these seemingly separate stories actually connect to some really big questions about AI's role in society.
Okay, so let's start with this article in Tech Policy Press by Eryk Salvaggio. It's titled Anatomy of an AI Coup, and, well, it paints a pretty alarming picture.
Right, it does. I think what's important to understand here is the context. Salvaggio starts by taking us back to the beginning of Trump's second term and the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE.
DOGE, as in like the meme.
Exactly. Apparently the irony was lost on them. Anyway, the article talks about how Elon Musk, who was appointed to lead DOGE, basically pushed for an AI-first strategy to dismantle bureaucratic systems.
And on the surface, that sounds like a good thing, right? I mean, who likes bureaucracy?
Sure, but here's where it gets interesting. Salvaggio argues that this push for efficiency went way beyond streamlining paperwork. He says they started replacing human decision-making with AI across the board, which could potentially sideline Congress and representative politics entirely.
So instead of elected officials making decisions, it would be algorithms. That's a pretty significant shift in power, isn't it?
It is, and it raises some serious concerns about transparency and accountability. If algorithms are making decisions that affect our lives, shouldn't we know how they're making those decisions?
The article also mentions this thing called the GSI chatbot and how all government data is being centralized, kind of like a one-stop shop for all government information.
Right, and that's where the data privacy concerns come in. Think about all the sensitive information the government collects, from your social security number to your tax records to your medical history. If all that data is being fed into an AI system, there's a real risk of breaches and misuse.
And Salvaggio is basically saying that this could lead to an AI-driven national crisis.
Yeah, he argues that these data breaches and security vulnerabilities could be exploited to manipulate elections, suppress dissent, or even target individuals. It's a pretty dystopian scenario, but it's not entirely far-fetched.
So this isn't about robots taking over the world. It's about AI being used to concentrate power and erode democratic processes.
Exactly. Salvaggio's point is that we need to be very careful about how we integrate AI into our political systems. Technology should be used to empower people, not to control them.
Wow, this is some heavy stuff. It seems like while the U.S. is facing this potential internal crisis over AI's role in government globally, things are also heating up. Let's shift gears to this AI summit happening in Paris. It sounds like everyone's trying to figure out how to navigate this rapidly changing AI landscape.
It does, and I think what's interesting about the Paris AI Summit is the sheer diversity of perspectives represented. You have leaders from 80 countries, including J.D. Vance from the U.S., Ursula von der Leyen from the EU, and even a representative from Xi Jinping. It's a real melting pot of ideas and approaches to AI governance.
80 countries, that's huge. They must be taking this seriously. What exactly are they hoping to achieve?
The summit is focused on two main goals: harnessing AI for good and mitigating the risks. They're discussing everything from using AI to address climate change and improve healthcare to preventing AI-powered weapons and protecting data privacy.
It sounds like they're trying to strike a balance between promoting innovation and ensuring responsible AI development.
Exactly. They recognize that AI has the potential to transform our world in incredible ways, but they also acknowledge the potential dangers. They're trying to find a way forward that maximizes the benefits while minimizing the risks.
So how does Trump's AI ambition fit into all of this? Didn't he vow to make America the leader in AI?
He did, and his approach seems to be focused on two things: deregulation and leveraging America's vast energy resources to power AI development. He wants to create an environment where American companies can innovate and compete on a global scale without being bogged down by regulations.
But isn't that in direct conflict with the EU's approach, which is much more cautious and focused on ethical considerations?
Yes, absolutely. The EU is much more concerned about the potential risks of AI and has implemented stricter regulations on data privacy and algorithmic bias. This creates a real tension between the US and the EU as they try to reconcile their different visions for the future of AI.
And then there's China.
Right.
They're also investing heavily in AI and seem to be playing by their own rules.
Right, and that's where things get really interesting. China has emerged as a major player in the AI landscape, and they're not afraid to challenge the status quo. They're investing heavily in AI research and development, and they're already seeing significant results.
And they're also not shy about using AI to advance their own geopolitical interests, right?
China sees AI as a key to achieving global dominance, and they're not afraid to use it to enhance their military capabilities, expand their economic influence, and even shape public opinion.
So we've got the U.S. pushing for deregulation and AI dominance, the EU advocating for ethical AI and stricter regulations, and China playing its own game. It sounds like a recipe for conflict.
It does, and that's why this Paris AI summit is so important. They're trying to find common ground and establish some international norms for AI governance. It's a tall order, but it's essential if we want to avoid a global AI arms race.
Okay, so we've got this geopolitical battle brewing over AI supremacy, but there's also a lot of money being poured into AI research and development, right? Can you give us a sense of just how much money we're talking about?
Oh, absolutely. We're talking billions, even trillions of dollars. This year alone, the four biggest tech companies, Microsoft, Meta, Google, and Amazon, are planning to spend a combined $325 billion on AI. That's more than the combined market value of Pfizer and Citigroup.
Whoa! That's a staggering amount. And who's getting the biggest slice of that pie?
Well, NVIDIA is definitely the current leader in the AI chip market. They're the ones supplying the hardware that powers these massive AI systems. Their sales have more than doubled since AI went mainstream, and they're continuing to invest heavily in research and development to stay ahead of the curve.
But wait, didn't we hear something about a Chinese company called DeepSeek that's challenging NVIDIA's dominance?
You did. DeepSeek is a fascinating case study because they're claiming to have developed an AI system that's just as powerful as NVIDIA's, but at a fraction of the cost. And they're already making waves.
What kind of waves?
Well, for starters, their announcement wiped nearly $600 billion off of NVIDIA's market capitalization in a single day. That's how much investors believe in their potential.
Ouch. That's gotta hurt. But is DeepSeek a legitimate threat to NVIDIA, or is this just hype?
There's definitely some skepticism surrounding their claims, especially because there are reports suggesting they may have used high-end NVIDIA chips that were banned from export to China to develop their technology. But even if that's true, the fact that they're able to compete at this level is a sign that the AI landscape is changing rapidly.
It sounds like everyone's scrabbling for control and the stakes are incredibly high.
They are, and it's not just about economic dominance. It's about who gets to shape the future of AI and how it's used.
So we've got this geopolitical battle brewing, massive investments pouring into AI. And now cybersecurity concerns are adding another layer of complexity to the mix. It's a lot to take in.
It is. And it's only going to get more complex as AI continues to evolve.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to move on to something a little lighter. What do you say we take a look at some of the AI blunders that have been making headlines lately?
Sounds good to me. A little bit of humor might be just what we need after all this serious talk.
Okay, so apparently there was this AI-powered camera system at a Scottish soccer game that mistook the referee's bald head for the ball.
I saw that. Can you imagine the frustration of fans trying to watch the game online, only to have the camera constantly zoomed in on the referee's head? It must have been chaos.
It's hilarious. It's like something out of a comedy sketch. And speaking of comedy, did you hear about the humanoid robot by Boston Dynamics that took a tumble during its big debut?
Oh yeah, that was a good one. It managed to perform all these complex actions, running, jumping, even doing backflips, but then it tripped on the curtain while leaving the stage and went sprawling.
It just goes to show that even the most advanced robots aren't immune to a good old-fashioned pratfall.
It's a good reminder that AI, for all its advancements, is still under development. There's a lot of work to be done before we can fully trust these systems to operate flawlessly in the real world.
Those blunders were a nice change of pace, but let's get back to the bigger picture here. We've talked a lot about the potential risks of AI. Everything from AI coups to espionage to cybersecurity threats. But AI also has the potential to do a lot of good in the world, right?
Absolutely. AI is already being used to address some of the world's most pressing challenges, like climate change, disease, and poverty. And as AI continues to evolve, its potential for good will only grow.
So how do we ensure that AI is used for good and not for evil?
That's the million-dollar question. It's going to require a concerted effort from governments, businesses, researchers, and individuals to develop ethical guidelines, implement responsible regulations, and promote transparency and accountability.
It sounds like a daunting task.
It is, but it's one that we can't afford to ignore. The future of AI is in our hands, and we need to make sure that we're shaping it in a way that benefits all of humanity.
It really feels like we're at a turning point with AI, doesn't it? It's both exciting and a bit daunting to think about all the possibilities and challenges that lie ahead.
I agree, and that's why these conversations are so important. We need to be talking about this figuring out how to navigate this new landscape together.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the AI news of the day, what are some of the key takeaways you think our listeners should keep in mind?
Well, I think the first takeaway is that AI is no longer a futuristic concept. It's here, it's now, and it's already having a profound impact on our lives. From how our governments operate to the way we work and interact with each other, AI is changing the game.
And it's not just about the technology itself, right? It's about the choices we make, the policies we implement, and the values we prioritize as we integrate AI into our society.
Exactly. The second takeaway is that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It all depends on who's wielding it and for what purpose. That's why it's so important to be aware of the potential risks of AI, things like bias, surveillance, and the concentration of power in the hands of a few.
And we also need to be thinking about the ethical implications of AI, right?
Ah.
How do we ensure that AI is used in a way that aligns with our values and doesn't infringe on our rights?
Absolutely. We need to be having those tough conversations about what kind of future we want to create with AI. Do we want a future where AI empowers us and enhances our lives, or a future where AI controls us and erodes our freedoms?
Those are some big questions, and it seems like there's no easy answers.
There aren't. And that's why it's so important to engage in these conversations and to be actively involved in shaping the future of AI.
So the third takeaway is that we all have a role to play in ensuring that AI is used responsibly and ethically. It's not just up to the experts and policymakers, it's up to all of us.
Exactly. We need to stay informed, be critical, and engage in the conversation. We need to demand transparency and accountability from those who are developing and deploying AI systems, and we need to make sure that our voices are heard as we navigate this uncharted territory.
Well said. It's been a fascinating and thought-provoking conversation today, and I think we've covered a lot of ground.
We have, and it's clear that AI is a topic that we're going to be grappling with for years to come.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our AI deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to tune in next time for another insightful look at the ever-evolving world of artificial intelligence. Speaking of advancements, one thing that's been on my mind is this whole concept of sustainability in the AI industry. It feels like sustainability gets thrown around a lot these days, but is it really making a difference?
It's definitely becoming more than just a buzzword. The environmental impact of AI, especially the energy consumption of these massive data centers, is a growing concern. Think about it. These AI systems require enormous amounts of data and processing power, which translates to a huge carbon footprint.
So it's not just about the ethical implications of AI, but also about its environmental impact.
Exactly. And we're seeing some interesting trends emerge in response to this concern. For example, there's a big push for AI-driven energy efficiency, where AI is being used to optimize energy consumption in data centers and other industries.
So they're basically trying to use AI to solve the problems that AI itself is creating.
In a way, yes, but it's also about recognizing that sustainability is no longer optional, it's a necessity. We can't keep developing these powerful AI systems without considering their impact on the environment.
What are some other ways that AI is being used to promote sustainability?
Well, another interesting area is AI-powered climate modeling. Scientists are using AI to create more accurate models of climate change, which can help us understand the problem better and develop more effective solutions.
And I've also heard about AI being used to integrate renewable energy sources into the power grid.
Right. AI can help manage the intermittent nature of renewable energy sources like solar and wind power, ensuring a stable and reliable energy supply.
It sounds like there's a lot of potential for AI to be a force for good in the fight against climate change.
There is, and it's encouraging to see that many companies and organizations are starting to take sustainability seriously. But there's still a long way to go. We need to see more investment in sustainable AI technologies and a greater commitment to reducing the environmental impact of AI development.
So we've got these massive geopolitical and economic forces shaping the AI landscape. We've got these complex ethical and security concerns, and we've got this growing awareness of the need for sustainable AI practices. It feels like we're on the cusp of something really big, but we're not quite sure where it's all going to lead.
It's true. We're living in a time of unprecedented technological change, and AI is at the forefront of that change. It's both exciting and unsettling, full of possibilities and potential pitfalls.
So what can we do as individuals to navigate this complex and rapidly changing AI landscape?
That's a great question. And I think there are a few things we can all do.
Like what?
First, stay informed. Keep up with the latest developments in AI, both the good and the bad. The more you understand about AI, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions about its role in your life.
That makes sense. Knowledge is power, as they say.
Second, be critical. Don't just accept everything you hear about AI at face value. Question the assumptions, consider the biases, and think for yourself.
So don't believe the hype.
Exactly. There's a lot of hype surrounding AI, and it's easy to get caught up in it. But it's important to remember that AI is just a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for evil. And finally, engage in the conversation. Talk to people about AI, share your thoughts and concerns, and listen to what others have to say. The more we talk about AI, the better we'll understand it, and the better equipped we'll be to shape its future.
That's a great point. This isn't something that experts and policymakers can figure out on their own. It's a conversation that we all need to be a part of.
Absolutely. AI is going to have a profound impact on all of our lives, so it's essential that we have a say in how it's developed and used.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive for today. We covered a lot from a potential AI coup in the U.S. to the global race for AI dominance and the ethical and sustainability considerations that come with this rapidly evolving technology.
It's a lot to process.
It really is. But the one thing that's clear is that AI is here to stay, and it's only going to become more integrated into our lives in the years to come. So I guess the big question is, what role do we want AI to play in shaping our future? That's something for all of us to think about. Thanks for joining us on AI Daily Deep Dive.